Hi, my name is Ashley S. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Locked In the podcast. Today, I am so excited for our guest. I've had the opportunity for the past 4 weeks to get to know her personally. I've read her book, a Year and a Day. We've talked about her foundation that she has, so I'm going to turn it over to her so she can introduce herself.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Ayana Bean. I'm excited to be here just as well here at South Bay, known as South Bay, right? But Suffolk County House of Corrections. Great story. I've already been introduced to the place because I spent time here.
Yes.
So, really excited to be here and talk to you today.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. So let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell me about your life before what transpired. What were you like? What were you doing? What was your work?
Well, just your typical young woman trying to survive and succeed at something at
Mm-hmm.
this life, right? I worked customer service for many years. I was a teenage mom. I had my first son at 17. Um, I probably was a little hard headed,
Yeah.
right? Probably a little hard headed. I was a Metco student. I went to school in Sudbury. Since the second grade, I got into Metco. And from second grade on until I say when we got about to the ninth grade is when I noticed that I probably was acting out. I think it was already there in the seventh, eighth grade,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt out of place.
Yes.
I felt out of place there and I felt out of place at home too, right?
Okay.
And so I think that's when I started to discover the different lifestyles, right? So you're going to school out in the suburbs and then you come home and you live on Morton Street, in the inner city,
Yep.
right? So now you come home after school, you're speaking a different language. You leave home to go to school and you're speaking a different language. So who are you really, right?
Right.
And I think that my discovery time, well, not that I think that, I know that my discovery time between those were what prompted a lot of ways that I thought about what life should be for me.
Okay.
And it was confusing. But however, I did, I completed school after a few run ins of not going to school, right? Eventually finished. I wanted to get out of Metco. I decided that my neighborhood was more fit for me than the suburbs, right? Going to school in Sudbury. So, I fought with my mother and the Metco coordinator, Miss Yarborough at the time. I remember she was like, "You don't want to go to school in Boston. I'm telling you, you don't want to." And I'm like, "All my friends are there. Yes, I do." Right. And so I fought with them. And finally, I was released from Metco. I was supposed to go to a Boston public school for 1 year and then go back,
Yes.
but I didn't. I never went back. I stayed. I liked. I felt like I belonged there, and it was great to have the experience of knowing that there was another way, and that also added to decisions that I made because I knew there was more
Mm-hmm.
to what I was, the way that I lived
Mm-hmm.
with my family and friends and things like that. I always knew that there was more because of the experience that I had going to school in Sudbury. But how do we get there? How do we get to more? How do we
Right.
get to this better life?
Right.
Right. And that is where, confusion takes place. That's where, decision making can be misconstrued. So, but I still knew that I had a focus of, you always have to work. You have to work, you have to be educated. Right. So I always did that. And I succeeded at High Park High is where I went to. I succeeded there in the fact that, I was a smart kid. They had a business program there. And I was fortunate enough to every year be able to have a job at the banks. So like my first job was at like Bank of America or something like that, whatever the bank was at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And you know, I liked it. I like numbers. I'm like helping people, so it kind of seemed like that was the flow of things. And I was able to do that for every summer, being at High Park. Even I had my son at 17. I still worked the summer at the banks, and as I was graduating, trying to get an employment with the bank, which I did for a little bit of time. They had something extended for me for a little while, so I was focused and working and trying to be educated while having a young son whose father was murdered before I even knew I was pregnant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's not in the book, Ashley. You did it first,
That's
right?
I was going to say I did not read that.
No. Well, and I'll tell you why you didn't read that is because that my sons never knew that information of the world until just a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shocking.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. Book number 2.
Book number 2. Book number 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so other than that, I was a young mom trying to, be motivated and trying to succeed and finding different ways that I would be able to support myself and my family. Just like any other woman on earth, right?
Exactly.
Typical.
Exactly. And what was your mindset before the events that took place? Where were you mentally?
Lost.
Okay.
Yeah, I was lost. I was lost and trapped, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um,
Trapped in which way?
like, what do I do?
Okay.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to solve this problem. Right. And I didn't know what way you would solve a problem like this.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was addiction. So obviously I had a partner who there was addiction in the home, and it kind of swallowed up what I thought was, the great family that I built. Not to say that was my first experience with substance use in the home. I grew up with, family that obviously, these are things that I seen as a child. And I remember being like, well, that's never going to be something that I have my children experience. Right.
Yes.
But then it did happen, so I had a partner who, had this substance use issue, and it spiraled out of control beyond what I could imagine, and I'm sure to him himself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of swallowed us up.
Yep.
But being a person who just smiled through
whatever life
through
threw at
whatever
you.
life throws, you just do that, but you don't really understand until it really wears you out,
Mm-hmm.
and your back is up against the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. So you were working for a school or a college.
Yeah.
And at what point did you realize things were going off course with the financial aid funds?
Well, I'll tell you, I remember, like always a happy, chippery person, nothing really can affect my personality,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I started to notice about myself that it was getting harder to get up in the mornings. Like it was just kind of like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to be a person. I don't want to be anything. I just want to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when I started feeling like that is when I knew that something was really happening to me. Like everything was affecting me. Right.
Wow.
And, there was a situation where rent was due, didn't have it. And I looked at this as an opportunity, what I was facing, like, oh, well, but maybe I can do this, and when we're not doing what we're supposed to do, we're talking to ourselves about how right it is. You're not thinking of, don't do that. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
You're not
Right?
thinking of the consequences that come after.
Right. Not even thinking of consequences, just thinking that I could solve a problem by doing this.
Right.
And as if this won't cause another problem. Right. So, that's not what I was thinking, because I didn't want to think that there would be a downside to this. I'm thinking of the situation at hand. How can I get out of this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing that I'm going to get out of one situation and I'm going to create a whole nother situation.
Yes.
Right. I totally felt like I had a foolproof way that this would be okay to do.
Mm-hmm.
And no one would find out. And, this is how I hyped myself up to do it.
Yes.
So one day I just remember, I just back up against the wall, don't know how to fix this. Talked to I don't know who was talking to me in my head, right? Right. But, that is, a decision that I formulated to go ahead and to take funds that come into school that I was responsible for, right? Take those funds and, like, as if I'm getting a loan, I'm going to borrow this.
Yep.
Right. I'll borrow this time, and then I'll return it, and then let's see what happens. So what did happen? Yeah, it was successful the first time that I took a check from work. It was successful. But look at how I did this. Was I smart in doing this? No. I took a check from my employer, well, from the banks that come in, right? And then I deposited into my own bank account. my personal bank account. So how foolproof was this, Ayana?
Not
Not at
very,
all.
not, no, not at all.
Exactly. Exactly. So no thought process in it, just doing it. Right. And that's what I did. And after the one time, and when I went into that bank and it was cleared, and I was like, oh my God, now if I could get it out of the bank, so once I did that, I was like, wow, it worked. It worked. My foolproof plan worked.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, this one, I'll try another one. Right. And so now I'm turning into the addiction monster. Right. I'm going like, well, it worked that time. So once it worked that one time, it gave me like a green light that I can continue to do this and continue to tell myself the same thing that made no sense.
That you're just borrowing these
Right.
funds and
Like
yep.
who is paying this back? I don't know. I can't pay this, right? And then and that's what that's what I did. And I continued to do that for, I don't remember really how long, but I know it was well over a year's time. And at one point I was like, wow, if I don't leave this job, I'm going to never stop doing this.
Okay.
So I resigned my position and I went to go on somewhere else. But I remember that there being something that I forgot to do, like the way that my routine. There was one check that I did not do properly. And I'm like, but I couldn't remember. I was doing so many. I couldn't remember which one it was. And so when I left, I just knew that would come and bite me, right? This one $1,200 check, right, compared to 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, that I was able to access. And not long after, I went to another, and I was thinking, this is how I talk to myself. I'll leave this position. I'll go to another position that I wouldn't be dealing with checks or anything. And that's how I saved myself from continuing to do this. Right.
Okay.
So I went to a different position at a different school. And a couple of months after being there, these two guys come in. And it's like, auditing time, it's looking like auditing time, right? And I see them talking to other people in the office and things like that. I'm like, oh, okay, great. They're just coming around, talking to people in their office because it's auditing time. And I had all my files and everything ready for auditing time, right? But it's like when they came to talk to me, they wanted to talk to me not in my office. So I was thinking, oh, someone's in trouble but then I was thinking, like, why do they want to talk to me in the office? They need to see my files. They're so nice and neat, right?
Yes.
So I went with them and I still didn't think anything of this, right? And I went and I was talking to them, in my head, well, my position is different. They only have to do this. I have to do that. I have a big position, right? And when I went in there, we were sitting there talking and they were asking me about my day to day and, how I process certain things. And I'm like, yeah, this is odd. And so I was kind of like, this is just odd, right? And then the guy goes, so when you were at Emerson College, and then I just knew. It was like,
you knew that was
I knew that was it.
Yep.
That was it. So, everything went blank from there. Everything really did go blank. I told them that I didn't want to further discuss anything without an attorney.
Yes.
I asked if I was under arrest, and they told me that I was, and I'm like, oh my God, okay. So, they put me in handcuffs. They were very good about this. They put me in handcuffs, but he put his jacket over my hands and as we went out of the building so that, you couldn't tell. They were each on each side of me, one on each side of me. And, I walked out with them and to the barracks I went.
Do you feel that anything in your past, like your growing up, your childhood, your adolescence, anything like that played a role in this, like in your mindset? Do you feel that maybe there was trauma or and stuff like that has happened that led you down this road?
Well, absolutely. At the time, no, I wouldn't think that. But as I've gotten older and faced everything, yeah, everything that you encounter in your life makes a very valuable impact on the decisions that you make. This is how we are learning. This is how we learn to navigate the world, right?
Yes.
It's based off of what we know, how we've grown up, and the things that we've learned, or that we didn't want to learn, right?
Yes.
Different traumas. So today I can say that yes, as a kid, I was molested as a child, right? And so I learned to hide that. That's where you get the knowing how to smile, put on the brave face, no matter if the back is burning to the ground, right? Not talking about things that are hurting you or harmful to you. Hiding, continuing to hide. I learned that at a very early age. So throughout my years, my teenage years, my adult years, I realized that that's where it's come from.
And you perfected that.
I perfected, like I'm perfect at this. I've been doing this since a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to not be who I am, not express myself, not be truthful with myself. So being dishonest to anyone else is very easy because I'm already doing that to myself. We've been doing that because I learned to be quiet, don't say this, don't do that. You know, you just don't do that, right?
Yes.
And so those things did affect my decisions.
Let's talk about prison and your incarcerations. You got 6 months here at Suffolk County House of Corrections. You got a year and a day in federal prison in Kentucky.
Yes.
What were some of the hardest moments that you were going through?
Acceptance, I guess.
Okay.
You know, accepting that this is your consequence, right?
Yes.
Being away from my kids and having to step outside of my hidden self, right? I'm hiding behind this mask. You want me to step from out of here and now you want everybody to know. Right. So that was a big one because, you know, that's what I've been doing, like hiding in plain sight. Right.
Yeah.
So now you have to go in here and God, everybody's gonna know. Everybody's gonna know. Oh my God. Like, so who am I now? Right?
Yeah.
You know, you have these identity crises.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are going to prison.
Yes.
Who can you be now? Who are you? Are you still the same? Like I learned at an early age that when I was in Sudbury, this is who I am. When I'm in my neighborhood, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I go into prison, am I all of those people? Like what am I supposed to do? Right? So it was kind of scary at first. It was very scary at first. But one of the things that have always been in my life is, you know, God, right? And so I always know to pray, no matter what it is. So I remember I was a self-surrender for here and also the feds, but I remember the day when I was a self-surrender here because I had to go into court, you know, go before the judge. They gave me like 2 months to go. And so I was sentenced in like October and then I started in January my time. So when I went to go check myself in, going before the judge and, you know, accepting everything and then being taken into custody, right? And being brought to the back and like waiting for the van, getting on the van with yourself. It was myself. It was 2 other girls, right? And then it was a whole bunch of men.
Yep.
Right. And I just remember like them knocking on it just was the most aggravating thing, right? Knocking on the walls. The shorty, what's your number? What's your name? What did you do? Listen to me. He's like, oh girl, you was out there getting that money, right? And I'm just like, does anybody not understand we're going to jail? You know, that was my thing. Like, we are going to jail. All of us are going to jail. Like, nobody wants to have a conversation, right? Well, this is my first time. It sounds like they maybe, you know, have experienced this before,
yes.
right? But to me, it was scary. I was scared, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, you could be sentenced to prison for 5 days. You possibly could die within 30 minutes, right? So it never really matters your sentence to you, to a person who this is not what I want to do. That's a life sentence for you. It's how I felt.
Yes.
Me personally. So just being afraid of not knowing, and then taking that ride from downtown court to here. But by the time that I got here, you know, I had prayed and just told God, like, you know, just bring me in the doors and keep me safe, you know?
Yeah.
And I just want to have peace and understanding of why I'm here in
Right.
the first place, you know, and learn the lesson.
Right. So in federal prison, when did you begin the process of reconciling your past, the shame, guilt, especially with your family, your kids? How was that?
Well, you know, Ashley, honestly, I don't even know if I could honestly say I've really done that. Right.
Okay.
I do still feel shame and embarrassment. I do feel a lot of guilt,
Okay.
right? But how did I begin to see everything
Mm-hmm.
is when I entered into federal prison. So when I got to federal prison, I'm going to be here. My sentence is a year and a day. It's not the 6 months that I was here at South
Right.
Bay. I was here for like 3 months, right? A short time, but to me, I was here like a million years,
Yep.
right? I cannot stand the smell, right? And I'll never forget the experiences that I had here, right? But I've told you about them.
Yes, I've heard some of those stories.
But going to federal prison was different. I was in federal prison camp in Lexington, Kentucky. It was a federal prison camp called Atwood. And so it's a whole different setup. So you go in, it's like a building, kind of like a municipal building, it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like to me, right? The front door was open. There were women, that inmates driving cars, right? So I was thinking, oh God, what if somebody in here snitched and somebody can get in here and kill us? You know, I was thinking that, like, they're driving cars, the door is open. I want to know if I'm going to be safe. Am I going to be safe in here? Right. I'd rather have the bars and the doors. I
You're
don't know.
thinking worst case
Yeah,
scenario.
worst case scenario. What are we going to do here? Because, you know, it seems like it's too open for me.
Right.
But however, getting there, when I first walked in the door, I remember there were, you know, people were just walking around in the hallway. Someone was cooking food. And there were these 3 ladies. And they come, you know, everybody's looking at you all crazy. But there's no cells or nothing. This is like the lobby, right? And one of the ladies walked up to me and she said, "Don't worry, you're going to be fine here." And she was like, "I have some grades for you. This is going to take you a while to get them and some sneaking stuff." And so, you know, I done been to jail before, girl. You're not supposed to be accepting nothing from nobody because I don't know what you... You can't be accepting no
Right.
sweat.
There's always
Right?
a price to
There's
pay at
always
the
a
end of
price to
that.
pay at the end, right? But I felt like she was a good person, and
Mm-hmm.
I accepted the things from her. And I remember, like, I paid her back for it, right?
Yep.
She would never accept it from me. She happened to be one of the main people that, you know, in the church,
Yep.
right? So it's kind of like she does that for everyone.
Yes.
It was out of the goodness of her heart. So I was really, you know, confused about that at first, but, you know, it was cool, right? But just, you know, everyone seemed to be welcoming the women there, right? There was not very many guards that I seen,
Yep.
but it was the women who pretty much make sure that you are good.
Good.
And I started from there. It's
Good.
like, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm just going to go to church, go to the gym. You know, I just want to, I want a job. I want a job right away. I was able to get a job from the same lady. I had a job the next morning in the kitchen. And I just focused on, I'm here and I got to make the best of this and be safe.
Exactly. Yes. So after release, what was some of the biggest challenges you faced coming back into your everyday life?
It was a big challenge. And I say that challenge started from South Bay. My cases were 10 years apart. So I was in South Bay. I remember when I came home, I was like, my birthday was coming. I was going to be 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turned 40 in federal prison. So having a record,
Yeah.
not being able to kind of work in, you know, I was a financial aid advisor, student loans, student accounts, things like that, like not being able to go back to that kind of career because of, you know, the crime that I committed. And just like, where am I going to work? How am I going to make a living?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the person that's going to go work in retail or restaurants or something. So I was like, you know, that was a hard challenge.
Yeah.
To know that you can't do certain things. You have limitations, and you can't use the skills that you know. So you have to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I banged my head a lot of times. I remember when I first came home from the feds, I actually got a job as a temp at Wentworth Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And it was not doing financial aid, but it was in that division.
Yes.
It's like student something, but it had nothing to do with money or anything. But when my probation officer was like, "You have a job at Wentworth Institute of Technology," I'm like, "Yeah, they gave me the job. What am I, banned from a school?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? I mean, can I be the janitor there? What can I do? Right? Like, what can I do?"
Right.
Because you have stipulations. You have to have a job, you have to have housing, you have to have all these things, right?
Yes.
But with having court issues, how are we going to do that? Who's going to
Mhm.
open the door for you? Right? And then you're fresh out of here.
Right.
Right? So that was difficult. I was scared to get a job because he scared me to death from that job. Then I got another temp job at the hospital right over here at BMC. And it was just kind of like waiting for the day that they tell me I can't work anymore. Like that's what you end up doing until you are able to stay somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out for a little bit. I was a temp there. Then they wanted to hire me permanently as a supervisor. And I was telling my probation officer, he's like, "You can't have that job. I don't think you can have that job." And I'm like, "Why can't I have this job? It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with money." And I'm like, I don't know. They already went through a clearance of me being able to work here as a temp. So I'm thinking that I'm good if they hire me permanently. But he made me feel like, no, if you go through this, then they're gonna fire you anyway. So you might as well just leave there. I was like, oh, that sounds crazy. I can't never have a job, right? So what I did, I was so scared of this. I went to human resources. First of all, I went to talk to my supervisor because he really wanted me to have the job. And I said, well, just wanted you to know that I have a criminal background and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pass through of having the position. And he's flabbergasted and stuck at like, oh, I don't know. They're not trained to deal with this end. He's like, oh, let's go talk to the human resource lady. I'm going to call her, and we're going to hash this out. Then I go to her and she's like, well, you already work here, right? And I'm like, yeah, but as a temp. So I'm explaining all this stuff to them. And she's like, okay, well, just go back to your office. I'll figure this out. Right. So I didn't have the job. I was there for 7 months. And
So
they wanted to hire me permanently.
So when you go in as a temp, you don't have to do a background check?
You do. Absolutely. You have to get clearance to work there. I passed the clearance level. So when I went to her, like that would have been fine. They wouldn't have run, you don't know if they're really running everything. And they probably don't run every person.
Right. So
when I went to tell her all of this, that's when they made the decision that, oh, well, she told us that she gave us this information. So now that we know this information, so they made it easy for themselves. And then I didn't have a job.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So coming out of federal prison, what helped you? Family support, spirituality? What were the big major factors in helping you rebuild your life?
I think spirituality would be the number one.
Okay.
Right? Because there was no way that I could do it with the way that I felt. My emotions would not have allowed me to try anything other than like this. Nothing's going to work.
Yes.
You're going to hit your head 100 times. 100 challenges are facing you within 2 days.
Right.
Who can do that every 2 days? Right.
Right.
You really have to be, you have to ground yourself to have an understanding that things are not going to work out. You have to just set that as the tone. Right. But you also have to set the tone of there's going to be 100 challenges. There's going to be 100 doors that close, but I only need one to open. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be one. And you just have to know that. There's going to be one. And there was one. And I went in the door and I appreciated it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to write this book?
Well, I was tapped by BET to do American Gangster Trap Queens on their network. And a young lady, close family friend of ours, her name is Van. She was working with BET in New York for quite a while. And this show idea came up. It's obviously not everyone knows, this happened to me, what I did. But of course she did. And she contacted us to say, I think you would be really good to go on this show to talk about, it's a cautionary tale, and it could help, another person not go that route. Right. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, oh God, no, I want to be on BET for like being spectral or something. Not being a criminal. Right. Why do I want to go there for that? So I had to think about it for a little bit, Mm-hmm. And I thought about the fact that if one person's life could be saved from making a decision like I made, then that would be the whole point of the show. Because I'm not going to get rich off of the show, right? Mm-hmm. It's peanuts. You're not going to get rich off of it. But you could use that platform to build motivation and inspiration for other people. And if I'm truly a spiritual person, which I think that, God uses me as a vessel, I made decisions that, put me in a certain position. And what am I going to do about that? It can't be for nothing or for selfish reasons. It has to be something that is for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went on the show. I didn't want that to be the only thing, like just see that one thing that you did for a whole hour, right? So let's make a book that humanizes me, right? You can see who I am and not what I did. And that was the purpose of writing the book. So I didn't think that the book would also make a purpose for me of healing and really looking at myself, acknowledging things that happened to me, where real traumas have come from. I didn't first seek out to do that.
That's amazing.
But that's what it did. Yeah.
That's amazing. Let's talk about your foundation.
Woo.
You founded a foundation. It is called A Year and a Day Foundation.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me the inspiration behind what prompted this.
What prompted that was the challenges that I faced when I came out of prison. That I think it was like, well, go to this website. There's all sorts of resources and all these things. Like nobody ever answers the phone number there. There is no resources. There was nothing, right?
Yes.
You just have yourself, your brain, and you got to make something
You're figuring
happen.
out your own way.
You got to figure it out. There was no, at that time, there was no real support. There wasn't any resources. And, sometimes it was like, I'm going to lose my mind just sitting here, right? You got to keep yourself busy. I almost was a Zumba instructor. I was going to the gym so much, girl, but I didn't, right? But that was the motivation behind it. I have an understanding that there were challenges that I faced, but I was able to still continue to move forward. But there's a lot of people who can't do that on their own, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who, once they get out, if they run into a couple of challenges, they're going to go, it's easier to always do the wrong thing. It's hard to do the right thing.
Yes.
Right? You could go back to doing whatever got you back in it quick like this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to continue to have a life of freedom, then you have to go through all the challenges. You have to bang your head however many times you have to bang it. And you have to just do it. You have to take all the no's, right? And just look forward to the yes and the one open door, right?
Correct. And from your experience, what are some of those biggest challenges coming out of prison?
Having a Corey issue, not being able to get a job because of this Corey issue that I have. How long is this going to last, right? Employers not, there weren't a lot of Corey friendly employers, which really isn't a Corey friendly, but you just have to try and apply for it, right? Just continue to go. But it was a challenge there. Not having my own place, being my big grown self, sleeping on my mom's couch, having adult sons. I'm home to adult sons. And that was very scary. Like, being the person that is able to take care of yourself and then not being able to having to rely on people. And I'm like a 40-year-old, I'm a middle-aged lady now. Like, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. Right. So pride was a big thing. I didn't like that. I don't like that.
And what are some of the things that your foundation offers for people coming out of prison?
So right now, what my organization does, we have a partnership with Google. So I'm able to do Google certified digital skills training. We have a bunch of programs that we're doing. One of them, I do a program called You're the Author of Your Own Book inside of the Norfolk County House of Corrections. So it's, the same journey that I was taken to facing myself when I was writing my book. So we talk about what led us here. What are we doing here to prepare us for outside, right? Connecting them to services like financial literacy, connecting them to career coaching, offer all of the reentry support that you have, or even just an ear to listen to what you're going through. This is what we're doing. We're building a foundation that is going to be able to sustain workforce development, to connect you to an employer that will accept you after you, because you're coming from a referral from us. There's so much that we're doing and continuing to build that I have on the plate, but we build there. Entrepreneurship is one of the biggest, because entrepreneurship is very important because, you may be facing a lot of core issues, but what were you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What's your passion?
Yeah.
Make that into a business, and make it into a business that maybe you won't need to work for an employer. Maybe you are going to be your employer. So let's learn how to turn our passions into employment for us. We do that. I have a youth business entrepreneurship program just as well. So, but in a lot of different directions.
So you work with the youth.
We
You
work with the
also
youth,
work with incarcerated individuals.
incarcerated, and those that are returning from incarceration, as well as youth returning from incarceration.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Mhm.
And why do you find it so important for formerly incarcerated people to have that second chance instead of just writing them off, as some people do?
Right. Because are they not human? Are we not human? Do we all make mistakes? Do we all make bad decisions?
Mm-hmm.
We're human, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have the highest of jobs, and they have a lot of felony convictions, right? Do we say that they're not, because you made a mistake or because you did something that you did time for? Does that mean you can't do anything else? Are we saying that that's what your label is and you stay that label forever? No. No, you can be whoever you want. Every day you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself, no matter where you're at. When I was here, I'll be who I want to be. When I'm outside, I'm going to be what I want to be. I'm going to do what I want to do. Right?
Yes.
And that is the most important thing, to not allow anyone to put a label on you. I'm going to tell you what my label is. You're not going to tell me what it is.
That's amazing. And for anyone that wants to reach out to A Year in a Day Foundation, they just go on the website, which is ayaaAfoundation.org.
Yes.
And from there, they can get contact information.
Yes, we have a phone number there, email address is there, the website is there. And I'm all around as well. I partner with a lot of other organizations that are have to do with reentry, collaborate. I'm out here in the streets. Outside and inside, actually.
Let's move forward here. Tell me what freedom means to you. Now, you've been through a lot in your life, through abuse, through trials, tribulations, through everything, honestly. What does freedom mean to you?
The ability to continue to move forward, right? That's freedom. Moving forward, being free to do and make whatever decision that you desire to do, right? Now, a wrong decision or right decision, it's totally your life, right? It's your life. Nobody can live your life for you.
True.
Nobody can. So that's the freedom of life.
It's amazing. And what advice would you give to someone that's currently incarcerated or just got out of incarceration?
Give yourself a chance. Give yourself an absolute chance. I tell everyone that all the time. Give yourself a chance. Don't give up on yourself. There's a million people who've given up on you already. You want to add to that?
True.
No, you don't. You can't. You can't afford to give up on yourself.
Okay. And what do you hope that people take away from your story here?
What I hope people take away from my story is perseverance, humanity, and humility. I want them to know that, you have to acknowledge what you've done. You have to acknowledge who you are, and also acknowledge where you're going and where you've been. And that's what I want people to see. I'm not a perfect person. In no way, shape, or form. I would never push that to anyone. But I'm always going to stand on whatever I've done, if it was right or wrong. I'm going to own up to it. And that's what comes with life, right? This is what comes with what life has to offer. This is who I am. This is what I've done. I apologize to myself and I apologize to others, right?
Nice.
And I just do better next time.
That is true. Is there anything else about your journey or mission that you want to talk about that we didn't discuss so far?
I don't think so. I think we've talked about everything.
We talked about everything.
I think we have. I really enjoy being able to come here to do this today, especially with you, because we've gotten to know each other from the book club, and I think it's great that this is something that Suffolk County has to offer you women or everyone that is housed here, because I know both the men do it as well. When I was here, these things weren't here. Um, I don't remember what I did when I was here. I went to the library once. I didn't want to go back there. And there was the gym time. I was like, oh, I don't want to go in there either. Right? It didn't look like I need to go over there either, you know. So I'm really glad that they've taken time to put programs together, workshops together, and make sure that you guys are getting something from this experience other than just being here that you could take home and be successful at it. Maybe it's something that you would have never probably done this if you weren't here.
No, never.
Right. So now when you go out there, it's like maybe that's something that you want to do, but you're introduced to it here.
Yes.
You know? So I'm really happy that they're focusing on making sure that there's more than just sitting here doing time for the people that are housed here for the temporary time.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And before I let you go, where can people learn more about your foundation, your work, upcoming projects, anything going on with you?
Well, the best place to, I'm not even being honest, but I'm going to say the best place would be to follow up the website, which is ayearinadayfoundation.org. But I haven't updated that with everything. But my social media is the way that you can look at everything in real time, and then it will be uploaded to the site. So my site would be at A Year in a Day Foundation. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook, Indeed. Not Indeed, but LinkedIn. So all of the social media outlets are at A Year in a Day Foundation. And then at ms.yana Bean.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming here today. Yeah. I'm glad I got this opportunity with you. Yeah. I know we've been talking for 4 weeks now, so it's been amazing to get to know more about you. And thank you everyone for tuning in to Locked In the podcast. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.